So the grand jury has been meeting for 3 months here looking at this case, and it appears that they're nearing an end.
We're not going to rush anything through, but we're not going to delay it any more than has to be necessary.
The prosecutor has been in a really unusual spot here. In most cases, grand juries get maybe a handful of witnesses and a lot of direction from the prosecutor about what they should be thinking and how they should be interpreting a case. In this case, the prosecutor, who was under a great deal of scrutiny and criticism, made the unusual decision to go ahead and present them with all the evidence, all the witnesses, so they could look at everything. It really puts them in a different role than a grand jury usually has. Among the protesters, one of their biggest complaints is the prosecutor.
Hands up, don't shoot!
The suggestion that he cannot be fair and that he should have stepped aside.
From his actions, it's very obvious that he doesn't want to prosecute this case.
You know, if it turns out that there is no indictment, that he can say that wasn't his decision.
There's a sense that he errs on the side of law enforcement.
Have you ever charged an officer criminally in a shooting?
Right now I can't, I don't know about a shooting. We'd have to go back. We've certainly charged officers in the 24 years I have been here for wrongdoing.
And his father was also killed.
My father was killed. He was a police officer in the line of duty.
On the outside looking in, anybody that looks at that situation is going to think, here's a guy who's trying to get revenge for what happened to his father.
Did it affect me? Absolutely affected me. And what it did for me is, or to me, was made me I think a fierce advocate for victims of violence.
There was a sense that he's too close to law enforcement and couldn't look objectively at the actions of a law enforcement officer like Darren Wilson.
There was a case where 2 men were killed at Jack in the Box, and they were unarmed men in a car and were shot by police, and he refused to prosecute the police for it and called the men who got shot bums.
People have pointed to that Jack in the Box case as one example of the prosecutor's feelings about law enforcement, and that plays into a sense that he's part of the establishment. And so I think part of what you see in the unusual nature of the grand jury is that he has tried to sort of make up for the sense that he was being unfair by putting all the evidence to the grand jury and putting it all in their hands. They need to be the ones to do the looking, and that he's not in any way biased. They're really just 12 regular people who find themselves in a really peculiar position with a ton of pressure on them to decide this case.